While your garden lies dormant under snow, Amish families are harvesting fresh vegetables in 20-degree weather without using a single watt of electricity. These 50 gardening hacks from Amish communities transform brutal winters into productive growing seasons using techniques your great-grandparents knew, but modern gardeners have forgotten. What if you could extend your growing season by 4 entire months using nothing but materials already lying around your home? The traditional methods I'm about to share could transform how you garden forever, and they won't cost you a penny to implement. Store seeds in a cool, dry place. In Amish country, where tradition trumps electricity, proper seed storage ensures agricultural sustainability. These communities have mastered techniques for preserving seeds through harsh winters. Your basement might work well, similar to an Amish farmhouse cellar. A refrigerator offers consistent temperature control, though Amish communities rely on naturally cool spaces. Airtight containers are crucial. Mason jars are popular among Amish gardeners to prevent moisture infiltration. Humidity poses the primary threat to seed viability, potentially triggering premature germination or mold growth. For long-term storage, keep relative humidity low. Seeds should be thoroughly dried before storage. Remember to label everything clearly with the seed type, variety, and harvest date. Organizing seeds by planting season or vegetable family will streamline your spring planting process. Use a root cellar for natural cold storage. The Amish maintain fresh produce throughout winter using traditional root cellars. These underground storage spaces have kept vegetables fresh for generations without electricity. A properly designed root cellar maintains the ideal balance of cool temperatures and moderate humidity that many vegetables require. Root cellars typically stay cold enough for food preservation while maintaining high humidity, creating an ideal environment for many vegetables. Different crops have specific requirements. Root vegetables like potatoes prefer higher humidity, while onions and garlic store better in drier conditions. The earth provides natural insulation, keeping temperatures remarkably stable despite outdoor fluctuations. For best results, root cellars should include ventilation to regulate humidity and prevent gas buildup, which accelerates spoilage. This traditional method exemplifies the Amish commitment to self-sufficiency and sustainable living. Store root vegetables in sand for winter preservation. Sand storage is a time-tested Amish technique for preserving root vegetables through winter. This approach involves layering clean, dry sand with harvested vegetables in wooden crates, ceramic crocks, or food-grade buckets. The sand creates a microenvironment that maintains consistent moisture levels, preventing both dehydration and rot. Start with completely dry, clean sand. Harvest vegetables carefully to avoid nicks or bruises, which become entry points for bacteria. Leave a small stem attached to vegetables like carrots and beets to prevent moisture loss. Each vegetable should be completely surrounded by sand without touching others. Root vegetables stored this way can remain fresh for months, maintaining nutritional value and flavor. This technique works exceptionally well for carrots, beets, turnips, parsnips, and rutabagas. Potatoes can also be stored this way, though they need slightly more airflow to prevent sprouting. Grow microgreens, indoors for fresh winter greens. When outdoor cultivation becomes impossible during winter, Amish families maintain access to fresh greens through indoor microgreen production. These young seedlings provide concentrated nutrition and fresh flavors throughout the coldest months. Microgreens require minimal resources: shallow containers with drainage holes, organic potting soil, quality seeds, and a sunny window providing several hours of direct sunlight daily. Seeds are densely sown and lightly covered with soil or left uncovered depending on variety. Most microgreens are ready to harvest within 1 to 2 weeks when they develop their first true leaves. The nutritional content of microgreens is remarkable. They contain significantly more nutrients by weight than their mature counterparts. Popular varieties in Amish households include sunflower shoots, radish, pea shoots, and buckwheat. Planting new batches every week ensures a continuous harvest throughout winter, providing essential nutrients when fresh produce is otherwise scarce. Grow your own herbs, indoors. The windowsills of Amish kitchens often reveal small pots of thriving herbs, bringing fresh flavors to winter meals when garden beds rest under snow. This practical approach to year-round seasoning has been refined over generations. While modern gardeners might rely on grow lights and hydroponic systems, Amish families simply place their herbs in south-facing windows where natural sunlight provides sufficient light for growth. Herbs like parsley, chives, and thyme require minimal care, just several hours of daily sunlight, moderate watering, and well-draining soil. Indoor herbs actually prefer slightly cooler temperatures, making them well-suited for homes without central heating. Different herbs have distinct water requirements. Rosemary and sage prefer drier conditions, while basil and mint need more consistent moisture. Rotating pots regularly ensures even growth as plants naturally lean toward light sources. Harvesting up to 1/3 of the plant at a time encourages bushier growth. Light organic fertilizer once monthly provides necessary nutrients for continuous growth in container environments. Grow cold-tolerant mushrooms indoors. Cold winters provide the perfect conditions for cultivating mushrooms, a practice embraced by Amish communities seeking to maintain fresh food production year-round. Unlike most plants that require sunlight, mushrooms thrive in the dim corners and cool temperatures naturally available in Amish cellars and basements. Oyster mushrooms have become particularly valuable in Amish households due to their versatility and productivity. These fungi can produce harvests in just a few weeks and continue fruiting for months from the same growing medium. They flourish in cool temperatures naturally found in unheated basements. High humidity promotes optimal growth, easily achieved by misting growing areas daily or placing containers on trays filled with water and pebbles. The growing process integrates perfectly with Amish sustainability principles. Spent coffee grounds, straw, wheat bran, and hardwood sawdust can all serve as effective growing substrates. Pasteurization of growing medium eliminates competing organisms while preserving beneficial microbes. Each batch typically yields multiple harvests, providing substantial nutritional return for minimal input. Keep bees warm with insulated hives. Honeybees remain active inside well-insulated hives across Amish farmlands, even when snow blankets the ground outside. Traditional Amish beekeeping methods ensure strong colonies emerge in spring, ready for pollination duties and honey production. Wrapping hives with tar paper or specially designed insulation creates a critical buffer against bitter winds while allowing the sun to warm the hive on clear days. This passive solar heating can significantly raise internal hive temperatures on sunny winter days. Proper ventilation remains essential during winter months. Moisture buildup can be more dangerous to bees than cold temperatures. Upper entrance holes provide crucial ventilation without creating drafts. Most beekeepers don't realize that honeybees don't actually hibernate. They cluster together, vibrating their wing muscles to generate heat around their queen. A winter bee cluster maintains impressive warmth at its center. Colonies require substantial honey stores to survive winter, converting these carbohydrates into metabolic heat. Properly prepared hives positioned with southern exposure and windbreaks to the north can maintain high survival rates even in regions with prolonged sub-freezing temperatures. Start seeds in egg cartons. Empty egg cartons find new purpose in Amish households as the first homes for garden seedlings. This resourceful technique transforms potential waste into the beginning of summer's harvest. The Amish commitment to waste reduction living makes these humble containers a staple in their spring preparations. Cardboard egg cartons work particularly well because they absorb excess moisture, reducing the chances of damping off disease that often affects young seedlings. When planting time arrives, you can cut apart the sections and plant the entire biodegradable cup directly into garden soil where it decomposes, adding carbon to the soil structure. Covering cartons with clear plastic creates a greenhouse effect that raises soil temperature and accelerates germination. Seeds germinated indoors should be started several weeks before the last expected frost date, depending on the specific crop requirements. Hardening off seedlings by gradually exposing them to outdoor conditions before transplanting significantly increases survival rates. This method allows Amish gardeners to extend their growing season, especially valuable in northern regions with shorter frost-free periods. Cold weather composting. Ever wondered how Amish gardens produce such vibrant vegetables year after year? Their secret lies beneath the snow, in compost piles that remain active even during freezing months. Unlike modern gardeners, who often abandon composting when temperatures drop, the Amish maintain their composting systems throughout winter. The key is achieving proper balance, layering carbon-rich brown materials like fallen leaves, straw, and wood chips with nitrogen-rich green materials from kitchen scraps and manure. This balanced mixture creates internal heat through microbial activity, continuing decomposition even when surrounded by snow. A well-maintained winter compost pile can reach high temperatures at its core, sufficient to break down organic matter and kill many weed seeds and pathogens. Amish gardeners typically cover their piles with thick layers of straw or hay, creating insulation that preserves internal heat and keeps beneficial microbes active. Regular turning introduces oxygen that accelerates decomposition and prevents anaerobic conditions that produce odors. By spring, when other gardeners are starting fresh compost piles, Amish families have nutrient-rich humus ready for their garden beds. Build a cold weather composting system. The typical Amish farm wastes nothing. Kitchen scraps, animal manure, and yard trimmings all transform into gardening resources through specialized cold weather composting systems. These practical structures maintain decomposition even when thermometers dip below freezing. A proper Amish winter composting bin features insulated sides. Often hay bales or straw-stuffed burlap create walls that trap heat while allowing necessary airflow. Three-sided bins facing south maximize passive solar heating during daylight hours. The bin size matters tremendously for winter composting success. Smaller piles freeze quickly, while larger ones maintain internal temperatures needed for decomposition. Compost piles measuring at least a few feet in each dimension can generate enough metabolic heat to continue breaking down material in freezing temperatures. Amish gardeners layer materials carefully, carbon-rich brown materials to nitrogen-rich green materials, with thin layers of topsoil added between to introduce native microorganisms. Moisture management becomes particularly important in winter. Too dry and decomposition stalls, too wet, and the pile becomes waterlogged and oxygen deprived. Store leaves for mulching. Throughout winter, while most people rush to rid their yards of autumn leaves, Amish gardeners carefully collect and store this valuable garden resource for use throughout the winter months. These dried leaves become an essential gardening material in the hands of experienced Amish farmers. The practice of gathering fallen leaves in burlap sacks, wire bins, or dedicated leaf cribs provides a readily available supply of mulching material that insulates vulnerable plants during cold periods. A thick layer of leaf mulch can maintain soil temperatures several degrees warmer than exposed ground, protecting plant roots from frost damage. Compacted leaves break down slowly, releasing carbon, phosphorus, potassium, and trace minerals while feeding earthworms and beneficial soil microbes even during winter's chill. Different tree leaves contain varying amounts of nutrients, making them valuable slow-release fertilizers. Shredded leaves decompose much faster than whole leaves, releasing nutrients more quickly. The natural compounds in leaf tissues suppress weed germination, giving Amish garden beds a significant advantage against invasive plants. When spring arrives, these partially decomposed leaves get incorporated into the soil, improving water retention. Use snow as a natural insulator. Contrary to what many might think, the Amish see heavy snowfall as a benefit for their gardens. This natural white blanket serves as effective insulation against the most damaging winter threat: fluctuating temperatures that cause soil to repeatedly freeze and thaw, damaging plant roots. Snow creates an insulating layer that maintains a relatively steady temperature for plant roots and dormant perennials. A substantial snow covering can keep soil temperatures stable even when air temperatures plummet far below zero. This temperature stability prevents frost heaving that can push perennials out of the ground and tear delicate root systems. Amish gardeners gently pile additional snow around sensitive plants and young fruit trees rather than clearing it away, sometimes adding extra snow cover around particularly valuable specimens. The air pockets trapped within snow provide excellent insulation. Fresh snow contains mostly air by volume, creating insulating properties similar to fiberglass batting used in home construction. This natural insulation also prevents moisture loss from soil and plants during winter's drying winds, reducing winter desiccation and ensuring gardens emerge from winter with adequate soil moisture levels for spring growth. Harvest snowmelt for winter irrigation. While most people see winter precipitation as a nuisance, Amish gardeners view it as a valuable resource waiting to be captured. Melting snow provides some of the purest water available for growing plants, completely free of the chlorine and other chemicals found in municipal water supplies. The technique is remarkably simple. Strategically placed barrels or containers catch dripping snowmelt from roofs or areas where snow naturally accumulates. This water contains nitrogen absorbed from the atmosphere during snowfall, making it a mild, natural fertilizer. A typical residential roof can collect substantial amounts of water from just a modest snowfall. Snowmelt water typically has a slightly acidic pH ideal for most indoor plants. Amish gardeners use this collected snowmelt primarily for indoor plants and early seedlings, as the lack of chlorine and other treatment chemicals makes it particularly suitable for sensitive young plants. Collection systems work best when temperatures fluctuate around freezing, creating a slow, steady melt that allows for efficient capture. Simple filtration through cloth or fine mesh screens removes debris before storage in food-grade containers. This method also helps prevent water from pooling around foundations and creating ice hazards. Wrap fruit trees to prevent winter damage. The carefully wrapped trunks of young fruit trees stand out against winter's white landscape on Amish farms. These protective coverings aren't just decorative, they're essential shields against potentially fatal winter hazards that threaten years of careful cultivation. Burlap or specialized tree wrap protects against sun scald, a common problem where winter sun warms the bark during the day, only to have temperatures plummet after sunset. This rapid freezing and thawing cycle can split bark and create permanent vascular damage in the tree's cambium layer. Studies show properly wrapped trees have significantly better survival rates in colder growing zones, where winter temperature swings are most severe. Amish orchardists wrap trunks from the ground up to the first major branches, typically covering the bottom portion of the trunk. The wrapping material creates a buffer against temperature fluctuations and serves as a physical barrier against rodents seeking to chew bark during food-scarce winter months. Proper wrapping technique involves overlapping the material with each turn, working from the bottom upward and securing with natural twine rather than wire or plastic that could damage the growing trunk. Cover soil with black plastic for warming. Sheets of black plastic appear across Amish garden beds as winter begins to loosen its grip. This practical technique harnesses the sun's energy to give cold climate gardens a crucial head start on the growing season. The physics behind this method is straightforward. Dark colors absorb sunlight and convert it to heat through thermal mass principles. By covering garden soil with black plastic, Amish gardeners can increase soil temperatures significantly higher than uncovered soil. This temperature boost allows planting several weeks earlier than otherwise possible in northern climates. While clear plastic creates even higher temperatures, it allows weed growth, whereas black plastic both warms soil and prevents weed seeds from germinating by blocking light. Soil moisture should be optimized before applying plastic for the best heat transfer. Amish market gardeners frequently use this method for early season high-value crops like peas, lettuce, and spinach. After several weeks of warming, small X-shaped cuts create perfect planting pockets while maintaining the warming and weed-suppressing benefits throughout the growing season. Paint raised beds black to absorb heat. Raised garden beds with black painted sides are a common sight in Amish communities across northern states. This simple modification transforms ordinary garden beds into solar collectors that extend the growing season at both ends. The dark color absorbs sunlight during winter and early spring days, warming the soil inside the bed significantly faster than unpainted wood or natural materials. Heat absorption is most efficient when beds are oriented on an east-west axis, maximizing southern exposure during low-angle winter sunlight. Water-based exterior latex paint provides the most environmentally friendly option, while still delivering excellent warming benefits. Beds constructed of materials with higher thermal mass, such as stone or brick, retain heat longer into evening hours, maintaining warmer overnight soil temperatures than wooden beds. Amish gardeners especially value this technique for spring greens and fall crops, gaining additional weeks of production at each end of the growing season. This works particularly well because raised beds already drain better and warm faster than ground-level gardens due to increased surface area exposure. Use cold frames to extend growing season. Old windows find new purpose in Amish gardens as tops for cold frames, simple structures that create protected growing spaces for plants during chilly weather. These miniature greenhouses trap solar heat during the day and release it slowly overnight, creating microenvironments significantly warmer than outside air. The design follows practical Amish simplicity: 4 wooden sides sloped from back to front with a transparent top that allows sunlight to enter. The slope top maximizes winter sun exposure while allowing rain and snow to slide off easily. Inside these protected spaces, cool weather crops like spinach, kale, and lettuce thrive long after frost has claimed unprotected plants. Cold frames enable Amish gardeners to harvest fresh greens nearly year-round in climates where growing seasons typically last only 5 to 6 months. Most cold frames feature hinged tops that can be propped open on warm days to prevent overheating. A simple yet effective temperature control system requiring no electricity. Ventilation becomes necessary when interior temperatures get too high, which can occur even on cold winter days due to the greenhouse effect. Create a hoop house for year-round growing. When winter threatens to end the growing season, Amish gardeners often turn to an ingenious solution that costs a fraction of commercial greenhouses. Hoop houses, simple structures made from bent pipes covered with clear plastic, transform cold, barren garden spaces into productive growing environments even during the harshest months. The curved design of hoop houses makes them surprisingly resilient against snow loads and winter winds. Inside these protective bubbles, temperatures frequently rise well above outside conditions on sunny days, creating perfect growing environments for cold-hardy vegetables. Greenhouse-grade polyethylene film with UV inhibitors provides durability for several seasons. Double-layer coverings with a small inflation fan can increase inside temperatures through improved insulation. Amish communities have embraced this technology because it requires no electricity yet dramatically extends food production. A modest hoop house can produce hundreds of pounds of winter vegetables throughout the cold season with proper succession planting. These structures also protect soil from erosion and nutrient leaching caused by heavy winter precipitation, preserving valuable nutrients compared to exposed garden beds, keeping garden soil fertile and productive when spring returns. Build a DIY solar greenhouse for passive heating. Through generations of practical innovation, Amish gardeners have perfected solar greenhouse designs that capture and store the sun's heat without any electrical inputs. The careful orientation and thoughtful construction of these structures demonstrate the Amish commitment to working with nature rather than against it. Unlike conventional greenhouses, Amish solar versions feature south-facing glass or polycarbonate panels that maximize winter sun exposure with well-insulated north, east, and west walls that prevent heat loss. Inside, dark-colored water barrels or stone walls with high thermal mass absorb sunlight during the day and radiate stored heat throughout the night, maintaining temperatures well above freezing even during bitter cold spells. This passive design can maintain growing temperatures significantly warmer than outside conditions without any fuel consumption. Many Amish solar greenhouses incorporate roof vents that automatically open when temperatures rise too high, using bimetallic springs or wax-filled pistons that expand with heat, pushing the vents open without motors or thermostats. Reflective interior surfaces on the north wall increase available light, improving winter plant growth during short days. Build a sunken greenhouse for maximum insulation. Digging down to build partially underground growing spaces represents one of the Amish community's most ingenious cold climate gardening solutions. These sunken greenhouses utilize Earth's constant temperature to create remarkably stable growing environments with minimal additional materials. By excavating several feet into the ground, Amish gardeners tap into the natural insulation provided by soil, which maintains a fairly consistent temperature just a few feet below the surface in most temperate regions. This geothermal advantage significantly reduces temperature fluctuations, with sunken greenhouses experiencing much less temperature variance between day and night compared to above-ground structures. Above-ground walls need only rise a couple of feet before meeting the roof, dramatically reducing exposure to freezing winds and temperature extremes. During bitter cold nights, these earth-sheltered spaces rarely drop below freezing, even without supplemental heat sources. Proper drainage is essential for sunken structures, with French drains or gravel layers recommended around the perimeter to prevent waterlogging. Year-round growing becomes possible even in regions with harsh winters, allowing fresh vegetables when snow blankets outdoor gardens. Use clay pots for passive heat retention. Terracotta pots aren't just decorative elements in Amish greenhouses, they're functional components of an effective passive heating system that requires no electricity. These simple clay containers store solar energy during daylight hours and release it slowly after sunset, creating more stable temperatures for tender plants. The science behind this technique is straightforward. Clay's porous structure and mineral composition absorb heat efficiently and release it gradually through the night. Amish gardeners place water-filled pots in strategic locations where they receive several hours of direct sunlight. A small amount of water in clay pots can release enough stored heat to raise the temperature in a small greenhouse by several degrees throughout the night. This modest increase often makes the critical difference between plant survival and frost damage when temperatures drop suddenly. Unglazed pots perform better than glazed versions for heat retention purposes due to their greater porosity. Clustering several pots around particularly sensitive plants creates protective microclimates that shield against sudden temperature drops, a common challenge in spring and fall when weather fluctuates dramatically between day and night. Use water jugs as heat retainers. Recycled milk jugs and soda bottles filled with water line the perimeters of many Amish greenhouses and cold frames. This simple technique harnesses water's remarkable heat capacity. It holds on to warmth far longer than air, soil, or most building materials. Water requires significant energy to change temperature, absorbing heat during sunny periods and releasing it when surrounding air cools. Its heat capacity is considerably higher than that of air or soil. Amish gardeners typically paint water containers flat black to maximize heat absorption, significantly increasing solar gain compared to unpainted containers. Containers should be positioned along north walls where they won't block precious winter sunlight from reaching plants while still receiving adequate sun exposure. During particularly cold nights, some Amish families fill jugs with hot water heated from their wood stoves, placing them among frost-sensitive seedlings for added protection. Each gallon of hot water can release considerable heat as it cools overnight. The best container size balances surface area with volume for the most effective heat release rate for overnight temperature regulation. Use hot manure to warm the greenhouse floor. The floor beneath growing tables in Amish greenhouses often conceals one of their most effective heating systems, fresh animal manure generating natural warmth through microbial decomposition. This centuries-old technique powers plant growth long before spring temperatures arrive. Fresh horse manure produces remarkable heat through aerobic decomposition. Interior temperatures of properly constructed manure beds can get quite hot during peak microbial activity. Amish farmers typically dig trenches beneath greenhouse beds, filling them with a mixture of fresh manure and straw before covering with several inches of soil. The decomposing materials release steady warmth for several weeks, heating both soil and air around plants. This biologically generated heat also produces carbon dioxide, a gas plants need for photosynthesis, typically elevating CO2 levels well above ambient outdoor levels. The rising CO2 gives greenhouse crops an extra growth boost during winter months when levels would otherwise be low. For continued heat production, new layers of fresh manure can be added as the decomposition process slows. Different manure types provide varying heat output, with horse manure generating higher temperatures than cattle manure due to its higher carbon to nitrogen ratio. Use underground root warmers for frost protection. Tender plant roots find comfort even during frosty nights thanks to an ingenious Amish technique developed through generations of cold climate gardening. Strategic placement of warming elements beneath soil creates protected zones where plants thrive despite freezing air temperatures above. Warming the root zone works because plants can tolerate much colder air temperatures when their roots remain at optimal temperatures. Amish gardeners create these warm zones using several methods: stones heated by day in the sun, then buried several inches below plants, decomposing compost placed beneath growing areas, or water-filled containers with thermal mass tucked underground. Warming just the root zone requires significantly less energy than heating entire growing spaces, making it particularly sustainable for off-grid applications. The technique works particularly well for cool season crops like spinach, carrots, and kale, allowing harvest weeks before outdoor-grown counterparts are ready. For commercial adaptations of this traditional technique, specially designed soil heating cables can achieve similar results when conventional energy sources are available. Use a manure pile for heat generation. Steaming manure piles dot Amish farmscapes throughout winter, serving as natural furnaces for extending the growing season. This isn't just waste management, it's a sophisticated bioenergy system refined through generations of observation and practice. Fresh horse and cow manure mixed with straw creates the perfect recipe for microbial activity. As billions of thermophilic bacteria break down this organic material, they generate impressive heat at the pile's core. Amish gardeners harness this free thermal energy by positioning manure piles strategically. Some run plastic pipes through them to heat water for irrigation. Others build growing beds directly against the decomposing mass, maintaining soil temperatures much warmer than ambient air. A medium-sized manure pile can generate useful heat for several weeks during winter's coldest stretch. Turning the pile periodically introduces fresh oxygen, reinvigorating microbial activity and extending the heating period. Beyond heat, these decomposing piles release carbon dioxide in the immediate vicinity, which feeds nearby plants through increased photosynthesis efficiency. The finished product ultimately creates rich compost for future gardens. Use wooden planks as walkways to prevent mud. Walking through an Amish garden in early spring reveals neat wooden plank pathways spanning between growing beds. These simple walkways solve multiple problems while demonstrating the practical wisdom of these traditional gardeners. Spring thaws transform garden soil into a muddy mess that's difficult to navigate without compacting growing areas. Wooden planks create solid surfaces that distribute weight evenly, preventing soil structure damage that can significantly reduce crop yields due to decreased root penetration and water infiltration. Amish carpenters typically use oak or cedar boards, both naturally resistant to rot when exposed to damp conditions, with cedar containing natural oils that provide many years of service life without chemical treatments. These pathways also keep gardeners' boots clean, reducing the tracking of soil-borne pathogens between different garden sections. The gaps between boards allow rainwater to drain directly into the soil rather than creating puddles that can harbor mosquito larvae. In addition to preventing soil compaction, these raised walkways provide earlier access to garden beds in spring, allowing planting to begin days earlier than gardens without defined pathways. Use frost blankets for extra protection. When weather forecasts predict unexpected spring or fall frosts, Amish gardeners reach for lightweight fabric covers that make the difference between crop survival and devastation. These simple protective layers harness trapped air as an insulating barrier against killing frosts. Modern frost blankets are made from spun polyester, but traditional Amish gardeners often use lightweight cotton sheets or burlap as alternatives. Either way, the physics remains the same. A thin layer of fabric creates a still air pocket that prevents temperatures around plants from dropping below freezing. Properly applied covers can maintain temperatures significantly warmer than uncovered areas, enough protection to save tender crops during brief cold snaps. For maximum effectiveness, covers should extend beyond the plant canopy on all sides and be sealed against the ground using soil, rocks, or boards to prevent warm air from escaping. Unlike plastic covers, fabric allows light transmission and promotes air exchange and moisture movement while still providing thermal protection, preventing humidity problems that can lead to fungal diseases. Covers can be applied in late afternoon before temperatures drop and should be removed by mid-morning after temperatures rise to prevent overheating. Use row covers to protect plants. Floating white fabric above Amish garden rows signals the use of one of their most versatile growing tools. These lightweight barriers create protected microclimates while defending against multiple threats to tender crops. Row covers serve multiple functions in the Amish garden arsenal. Beyond frost protection, they block damaging winds that can desiccate young plants and create a mild greenhouse effect that speeds growth. Plants under row covers typically mature days earlier than unprotected ones due to temperature increases during daylight hours. Light transmission through standard row covers provide sufficient sunlight for photosynthesis while diffusing direct rays that can scorch tender seedlings. Amish gardeners appreciate how these simple covers prevent insect damage without chemicals, particularly important for organic growing methods. Most Amish gardeners use hoops made from bent willow branches or repurposed electrical conduit to support covers above plants, creating tent-like structures that permit normal growth while providing protection. For warm season crops that require pollination, covers must be temporarily removed during flowering to allow bee access, typically for a few hours during peak pollinator activity. The microclimate under row covers maintains higher humidity levels than open gardens, reducing irrigation needs. Plant in raised beds for better drainage. Neat elevated growing spaces stand out in Amish gardens, especially in areas prone to soggy conditions. These raised beds solve multiple challenges that cold climate gardeners face, acting as both practical growing spaces and season extenders. Soil in raised beds drains rapidly, improving oxygen availability to plant roots and allowing for planting weeks earlier than conventional gardens. These elevated spaces warm up much faster than flat ground. Optimal bed height is about 1 to 1.5 feet, while width typically measures a few feet across. The sides provide natural protection against cold winds, creating sheltered microclimates that reduce water loss. Many Amish gardeners use specific soil blends combining compost, topsoil, and coarse sand or perlite in carefully balanced proportions. For cold weather performance, beds oriented east to west maximize southern exposure, increasing soil temperature noticeably. The design also reduces backstrain during planting and harvesting, proving that even Amish gardeners appreciate not having to bend quite so far when tending their early spring peas. Use hay bales for insulated raised beds. During winter, rectangular hay bales transform into protective walls around Amish garden beds, combining superior drainage with remarkable insulation properties. Hay bales form the perimeter, enclosing soil that remains workable weeks before open ground thaws. Standard bales create ideal building blocks for constructing these temporary growing spaces. The center is filled with a rich mixture of compost and garden soil. Temperature measurements show these gardens maintain significantly warmer soil than surrounding ground. The insulating properties of compressed hay provide substantial thermal protection against freezing temperatures. Amish communities value this technique for early spring crops like peas, lettuce, and spinach, which can be planted when outdoor temperatures are still quite cool. As the season progresses, the hay gradually breaks down, releasing valuable nutrients into the soil as it decomposes. The decomposing hay not only feeds the plants, but also creates a cozy home for earthworms, who seem to appreciate the Amish dedication to comfortable accommodations as much as the gardeners do. Use straw bale gardening for insulation. Straw bales become the growing medium in this innovative Amish gardening technique, especially suited for cold climates where good soil is scarce or slow to warm in spring. The process starts weeks before planting, when bales get thoroughly soaked with water and nitrogen-rich materials like coffee grounds or blood meal. This triggers decomposition, generating significant internal heat. Wheat straw is preferred over hay due to its lower seed content. A single bale can support several tomato or pepper plants, often producing higher yields than in-ground gardens. The straw fibers maintain consistent moisture levels, reducing watering needs considerably. The insulating properties maintain stable root zone temperatures even when air temperatures fluctuate widely, allowing earlier planting and extended harvests. This method particularly benefits gardeners with poor native soil, as the decomposing straw creates its own growing medium. By midsummer, the interior of these bales resembles premium compost, proving that even in the most traditional communities, sometimes the best soil doesn't start as soil at all. Plant frost-resistant vegetables. The vegetable selection in Amish garden beds reveals generations of cold climate wisdom. Hardy varieties that withstand frost ensure dependable harvests despite unpredictable weather patterns. Kale stands as the ultimate cold weather champion, withstanding remarkably low temperatures while actually improving in flavor after light frosts convert starches to sugars, increasing sweetness substantially. Brussels sprouts similarly thrive in cold conditions, with many Amish families timing planting several months before expected first frost. Root vegetables include cold-hardy carrots that withstand near-freezing soil temperatures, while parsnips require frost exposure to develop their characteristic sweetness. Other staples include cold-tolerant lettuce and spinach varieties, which can overwinter with minimal protection. This careful selection allows Amish families to harvest fresh food nearly year-round, even in regions where conventional gardening wisdom suggests nothing should grow. Their success with these hardy vegetables in challenging conditions proves that some plants, like some people, simply develop more character when life gets a little frosty around the edges. Choose heirloom seeds for cold-hardy crops. Seeds passed down through generations form the foundation of successful Amish cold climate gardens. These heirloom varieties carry genetic adaptations to harsh growing conditions that many modern hybrids have lost in the pursuit of uniformity and shipping durability. Unlike commercial seeds developed in ideal growing conditions, Amish-saved heirloom varieties have adapted to specific regional challenges over decades or centuries. The Green Mountain potato, developed in 1878 for Vermont's short growing season, thrives in Amish fields where modern varieties struggle. Traditional seeds typically germinate better in cool soil compared to commercial varieties. Many heirloom seeds can germinate in soil temperatures notably lower than their hybrid counterparts. Beyond improved cold tolerance, heirloom varieties often display better disease resistance to regional pathogens and produce more reliably under the fluctuating conditions typical of northern growing zones. These time-tested varieties connect today's gardeners with agricultural heritage while providing practical advantages for cold climate growing, proving that sometimes the best innovation is simply remembering what already worked in the past. Grow hardy berry bushes for year-round harvests. Berry bushes dot the landscape around Amish homesteads, providing both beautiful greenery and nutritious harvests even in regions with harsh winters. These woody perennials stand as monuments to patient gardening, producing more abundantly with each passing year. Currants, elderberries, and certain blueberry varieties can withstand temperatures far below zero without damage. These cold-hardy plants have evolved specialized cellular structures containing higher sugar concentrations that prevent moisture within tissues from freezing and rupturing cell walls. Once established, most berry bushes require maintenance only a few times yearly for pruning and mulching. A mature high-bush blueberry can produce many pounds of fruit annually for several decades, while a single elderberry bush can yield an impressive harvest each season. For optimal cold hardiness, Amish gardeners plant berry bushes in locations protected from winter winds, significantly reducing temperature stress. These berry bushes are living proof that sometimes the sweetest rewards come to those willing to brave the coldest conditions, a philosophy the Amish have perfected over generations. Grow perennials for year-round harvests. Walking through a mature Amish garden reveals dedicated beds filled with plants that return year after year without replanting. These perennial food crops represent the cornerstone of sustainable cold climate gardening, providing remarkable harvests for minimal effort. Asparagus leads the perennial parade in many Amish gardens, with established beds producing for decades from a single planting. A modest asparagus bed yields dozens of pounds of spears annually after reaching maturity in its third year. Jerusalem artichokes can produce substantial quantities of nutritious tubers, returning reliably even after extremely cold winters. Rhubarb plants commonly live many years, yielding several pounds per plant annually. These persistent plants develop extensive root systems that access nutrients and moisture unavailable to shallow-rooted annuals. This adaptation allows them to thrive in challenging conditions where other crops fail, making them crucial components of the Amish food security system. As one Amish gardener quipped, "Annual vegetables are like guests. They require much attention for a short visit, but perennials are family. They stick around through thick and thin." Grow cold-tolerant herbs outdoors. Herb gardens remain productive long after killing frosts have claimed tender vegetable plants in Amish communities. These aromatic plants, many containing natural antifreeze compounds in their tissues, continue providing fresh flavors when most gardens have gone dormant. Thyme, sage, and winter savory lead the cold hardiness contest, surviving temperatures well below zero when properly established. Their woody stems and small, tough leaves contain higher concentrations of essential oils that act as natural antifreeze, lowering the freezing point of plant tissues. Mulching around herbs with a few inches of straw or pine needles creates additional winter protection, insulating roots from temperature fluctuations. Russian tarragon and Greek oregano demonstrate exceptional winter survival rates in cold northern zones. The Amish typically harvest herbs throughout winter, cutting stems as needed from beneath snow cover where the plants remain surprisingly fresh and flavorful. As one Amish herbalist likes to joke, "These herbs are like our bearded men. They actually seem to get more robust and aromatic after a good frost. Use reflective mulch to maximize sunlight. During short winter days when every ray of sunlight counts, white materials appear beneath plants in Amish greenhouses and cold frames. This reflective mulch technique dramatically improves light efficiency during dark winter months when plants struggle to photosynthesize. White plastic, aluminum foil, or even white painted surfaces bounce light back up to plant leaves, essentially giving them a second chance to capture sunlight that would otherwise be absorbed by soil. This adjustment can significantly increase available light in winter growing spaces. The technique works particularly well for leafy greens and herbs grown in less than ideal light conditions. Amish gardeners without access to electric grow lights rely heavily on this passive approach to maximize scarce winter sunlight. Beyond improving light conditions, reflective mulch also disrupts pest life cycles, reducing insect pressure without chemical interventions. One Amish gardener compares it to giving your plants mirrors so they can admire themselves from all angles, and what plant wouldn't grow better with a little extra attention and good lighting. Use pine needles as mulch to control weeds. Fragrant carpets of pine needles cover soil in many Amish garden beds, particularly around acid-loving plants like blueberries and strawberries. These slow decomposing needles provide multiple benefits beyond their pleasing appearance. Unlike many mulch materials that break down quickly, pine needles can suppress weeds for an entire growing season without replacement. Their interlocking structure creates a light but effective barrier that blocks sunlight from reaching weed seeds while still allowing water and air to reach plant roots. Studies have found that pine needle mulch can dramatically reduce weed growth compared to bare soil. A few inches provides weed suppression without excessive moisture retention. The natural acidity of pine needles makes them ideal for plants that thrive in lower pH conditions. Fresh pine needles contain compounds that gradually decompose to lower soil pH over a growing season, eliminating the need for chemical soil amendments. As one witty Amish farmer puts it, pine needles are nature's way of saying some plants prefer their soil with a bit of zing, just like some folks prefer their lemonade. Mulch heavily to insulate plants. When winter threatens, Amish gardeners spread thick protective layers around plants, creating natural blankets against killing frosts. This heavy mulching technique transforms garden waste into valuable insulation that protects soil life and plant roots through the coldest months. The insulating value of natural mulch is impressive. A thick layer of straw creates an effect similar to fiberglass house insulation. This protective covering prevents the freeze-thaw cycles that can push plants out of the ground through frost heaving. Amish gardeners typically build mulch deeper around plants as temperatures drop, creating substantial mulch mounds around perennials and shrubs. Different materials offer varying levels of protection. Straw provides the highest insulation value, while wood chips and leaves offer slightly less protection. Beyond temperature regulation, heavy mulch suppresses winter weeds, prevents soil erosion during spring thaws, and gradually decomposes to feed soil organisms. As one Amish farmer observes, good mulching is like tucking your garden into bed with a thick quilt, except this blanket feeds the sleeper while it rests. Use boiling water as a natural weed killer. Steam rises from garden cracks and edges as Amish gardeners pour kettles of boiling water onto persistent weeds. This effective technique eliminates unwanted plants without introducing synthetic chemicals into carefully maintained organic growing spaces. The approach is remarkably simple. Water heated to boiling delivers a thermal shock that ruptures plant cells on contact, causing rapid wilting and death within a couple of days. For particularly stubborn perennial weeds, Amish gardeners often apply this treatment during early morning hours when plant resources are concentrated in above-ground growth. Research shows boiling water treatment eliminates most annual weeds with a single application. The volume required varies by weed size. Small weeds need only a cup or two of boiling water, while larger ones may require more for complete control. This method proves especially effective for weeds growing in cracks or edges where mechanical removal is difficult. The treatment also pasteurizes the top layer of soil, reducing some weed seeds and pathogens. One Amish gardener jokes, "We give our weeds a nice hot bath, one they never recover from." Keep chickens near the garden for natural warmth. The constant clucking near Amish greenhouses isn't just background noise, it's part of an ingenious natural heating system. Placing chicken coops adjacent to growing spaces creates symbiotic relationships that benefit both plants and poultry through cold winter months. A small flock of chickens generates significant heat continuously. When chicken coops share a wall with greenhouses or cold frames, this steady warmth transfers to growing spaces without electrical input. The arrangement creates microclimates where noticeable temperature differences have been measured compared to identical structures without chicken neighbors. Amish builders often incorporate vents between chicken areas and growing spaces, allowing warm CO2-rich air to naturally circulate among plants. Chicken respiration raises carbon dioxide levels, stimulating plant growth. The birds also benefit from this arrangement, enjoying warmer winter quarters thanks to the greenhouse's solar heat collection. As one Amish farmer quipped, "Our chickens don't know they're working as furnaces, they just think they have the coziest winter accommodations in the county. Install a simple wind-powered water pump." Wooden windmills dot the landscape of Amish communities, harnessing passing breezes to move water without electricity. These machines represent perfect examples of the Amish commitment to working with natural forces rather than fossil fuels or grid power. Traditional wooden-bladed windmills can pump several gallons of water per minute in moderate winds, enough to maintain gardens and water livestock without operating costs beyond occasional maintenance. Most Amish-built pumping windmills stand tall enough to catch winds that pass above ground-level obstructions. The spinning blades connect to a simple crankshaft that converts rotary motion to up and down movement, powering a cylinder pump below. During winter, when garden irrigation needs decrease, these versatile windmills often power workshop tools through belt drives. Even during freezing weather, properly designed systems with insulated pipes continue functioning, providing reliable water access for winter greenhouse operations. One Amish craftsman notes with a smile, "Our windmills never complain about working overtime, and they never send us a bill at the end of the month." Create a windbreak around the garden. Strategic placement of trees, shrubs, and fencing around Amish garden plots creates invisible walls that dramatically alter local growing conditions. These carefully designed windbreaks transform harsh environments into productive growing spaces through simple but effective intervention. Winter winds racing across open fields can significantly drop plant-level temperatures through wind chill effect. By blocking these winds, Amish gardeners effectively move their gardens one full hardiness zone warmer without adding any heat source. Properly designed windbreaks reduce wind speed substantially for a distance of approximately several times the height of the barrier. The ideal windbreak allows some wind penetration, which prevents damaging turbulence on the leeward side. Beyond temperature benefits, windbreaks reduce physical damage to tender plants, decrease moisture stress, and prevent snowdrift formation. Many Amish windbreaks incorporate useful plants like hazelnuts or elderberries, creating productive barriers with multiple yields. Deciduous trees on southern sides allow winter sun, while evergreens on northern sides block cold year-round, showing the thoughtful integration typical of Amish planning. Make use of wood ashes as fertilizer. The morning routine in many Amish households includes carefully collecting cool ashes from wood stoves, valuable garden resources that modern homeowners often discard. These gray, powdery remains represent concentrated mineral wealth that feeds gardens while reducing waste. Wood ash contains significant amounts of calcium, potassium, and smaller amounts of phosphorus and magnesium, all essential plant nutrients. Applied at modest rates per garden bed, wood ash can replace commercial lime for raising soil pH while providing a slow-release source of nutrients. Hardwood ashes contain more nutrients than softwood varieties. The potassium in wood ash proves particularly beneficial for root crops and flowering plants, improving both disease resistance and winter hardiness by strengthening cell walls. Careful Amish gardeners avoid using ashes around acid-loving plants like blueberries and potatoes, and never mix wood ash with nitrogen fertilizers, as this creates ammonia gas. As one Amish farmer noted, "Our stoves warm us twice, once when burning the wood, and again when the ashes help grow our food." Build a DIY solar dehydrator for preserving food. Simple wooden boxes with glass tops sit in sunny spots near Amish kitchens during harvest season. These homemade solar dehydrators transform garden abundance into shelf-stable food without using electricity, preserving summer's bounty for winter meals. The physics behind these devices is straightforward. Sun shines through glass or clear plastic tops, heating the interior while mesh screens allow moisture to escape. A well-designed solar dehydrator can reach ideal internal temperatures on sunny days for safely drying fruits, vegetables, and herbs. Amish families typically build these units with gentle slopes and dark interior surfaces to maximize heating efficiency. A medium-sized solar dehydrator can process several pounds of fresh produce in a couple of sunny days, creating lightweight, nutritious foods that store for months without refrigeration. These devices often include removable trays and adjustable vents to control airflow. One practical Amish mother jokes that her solar dehydrator is the only kitchen appliance that works harder when she's napping in the afternoon, proving that sometimes the most energy-efficient cooking happens when you're not cooking at all. Prune fruit trees before winter. Armed with sharp pruning tools, Amish orchardists reshape their fruit trees during late fall, after leaves drop but before deep winter cold arrives. This strategic timing allows trees to heal properly before growth resumes, creating stronger, more productive plants that withstand harsh winter conditions. Winter pruning focuses on removing what Amish growers call the 3Ds: dead, damaged, and diseased branches that could become entry points for problems. Proper pruning can substantially increase fruit yields while significantly extending tree lifespan. By removing crossing branches and opening the canopy to maintain good light penetration, winter sunlight reaches deeper into the tree, reducing fungal issues. The Amish approach typically maintains trees at manageable heights without ladders, an important safety consideration. Pruning cuts are made at an appropriate angle just outside the branch collar, a slight swelling where branches connect, allowing the tree's natural healing mechanisms to quickly seal wounds before freezing temperatures arrive. A winter-pruned orchard, says one Amish farmer, is like a family after a good haircut. Everyone's healthier, and arguments over personal space are settled for the season. Plant garlic in the fall for a stronger harvest. As most garden plants finish their productive cycle, Amish gardeners begin preparing for next year's harvest by planting individual garlic cloves. This fall planting technique yields dramatically larger, more flavorful bulbs than spring-planted garlic, particularly in cold northern regions. The secret lies in garlic's two-stage growth habit. Fall-planted cloves establish strong root systems before winter dormancy, then spring back to life earlier than virtually any other garden plant. Research shows fall-planted garlic produces significantly larger bulbs than spring plantings and contains more allicin, the beneficial compound responsible for garlic's health properties. Amish gardeners typically plant cloves a few inches deep and several inches apart in October or early November, then cover the bed with a thick layer of straw mulch for winter protection. Hardneck varieties like German Extra Hardy and Russian Red demonstrate particular cold hardiness, surviving very low soil temperatures. This cold exposure triggers physiological processes that enhance both flavor development and storage quality. One Amish gardener quips that fall-planted garlic develops character like the community's elders. The more winter hardship they endure, the stronger their wisdom. Plant winter wheat for green cover. Fields of young wheat provide welcome patches of green in the otherwise dormant winter landscape of Amish farms. These living carpets serve multiple purposes beyond their eventual grain harvest, demonstrating the Amish commitment to keeping soil covered and active throughout the year. Planted in early fall when soil temperatures are moderate, winter wheat quickly establishes a protective mat of vegetation that prevents erosion during harsh winter storms. A single acre of winter wheat can prevent the loss of several tons of topsoil that might otherwise wash away during spring thaws. The growing wheat captures excess nitrogen that would leach from bare soil, holding these nutrients in plant tissues until they decompose. The extensive root systems improve soil structure while feeding beneficial fungi and bacteria throughout winter months, gradually increasing soil organic matter. Some Amish growers plant winter wheat specifically as a cover crop, tilling it under in spring to feed summer vegetables. As one Amish farmer, Riley, observes, growing winter wheat is like having thousands of tiny workers improving your soil while you stay warm indoors. And they never ask for a raise. Grow cover crops to protect soil in winter. Winter landscapes on Amish farms rarely show bare soil. Instead, fields sport lush green carpets of rye, clover, or vetch during months when most conventional farms display only frozen dirt. These cover crops represent living investments in future garden productivity rather than immediate food sources. The protection these plants provide is impressive. Cover crops dramatically reduce soil erosion compared to bare ground. Their roots continuously improve soil structure during winter months when most gardens sit dormant. Rye roots can penetrate compacted soils with remarkable pressure, creating natural channels for water, air, and future crop roots. Winter rye captures significant nitrogen that would otherwise leach away, while hairy vetch can fix atmospheric nitrogen when allowed to grow until flowering. These winter-growing plants also suppress early spring weeds through competition and natural compounds they release. When incorporated into soil weeks before spring planting, these green manure crops decompose rapidly, feeding soil life and providing nutrients. As one Amish farmer puts it, cover crops are like hiring an underground workforce that works for free through winter. Cover the ground with straw for winter. Golden straw blankets protect dormant Amish garden beds throughout winter months. This simple covering represents the final garden task of the season and the first step toward next year's success, demonstrating the continuous cycles central to Amish growing practices. A thick straw layer moderates soil temperature fluctuations that can damage both soil life and perennial plant roots. Temperature measurements under straw mulch show remarkable stability despite dramatic air temperature swings. Wheat straw provides excellent insulation value. Beyond temperature regulation, this protective layer prevents rain and snow melt from compacting soil structure or washing away valuable topsoil, significantly reducing erosion. The decomposing straw also feeds earthworms and beneficial fungi throughout winter months, substantially increasing their populations by spring. By the time warm weather returns, the once thick layer will have compressed and partially decomposed, contributing organic matter that improves both drainage and moisture retention. One Amish gardener jokes that putting his garden to bed under straw is like tucking in the soil with a cozy blanket and a bedtime story about next year's vegetables. These 50-time-tested techniques demonstrate why Amish gardens remain productive despite harsh winter conditions. By working with nature rather than against it, these practical methods extend growing seasons, improve soil health, and ensure bountiful harvests without relying on modern technology or electricity.